Aloha, friends. Dr. Summer Nicole here. I wanted to share a story and give you a little glimpse into my why I do what I do and why I share and teach what I teach. And I'm going to do it with this personal story. It's a fairly dramatic one of how emotions manifest in the physical body. And so when I was going, this is in like 2012, and I was going through my first divorce, and I think it was like 3 days after I left the house. I had like basically it looked like hives or something. It wasn't hives, but it was some unexplainable kind of skin condition that kind of showed up all over my torso. And within that week, I'd had my first acupuncture session. And within the next 10 days following that, I was waking up with this like searing nerve pain in my eyes. So like whether they were open or closed, it was just like crazy eye pain. And I couldn't, it was like no explanation. And so I took myself to all these eye doctors, and no one could really explain it. And by the third one I got to, an ophthalmologist, she's like, so you haven't had anything like scratch your eyes or anything at all? And I was like, nothing. And she said, well, I have no idea how to explain this. She said, but you have multiple corneal abrasions across both eyes. And I was like, okay. And she's like, so I'm going to put some protective lenses on there. And they healed within 24 hours, the eye abrasions. And not thinking anything of it or that it was related, I went back to my acupuncturist sharing what had happened. And she's like, Summer, she's like, what we worked on in your first session was releasing all of this energy out of your liver, and liver energy releases out of your eyes. And she said, the liver holds anger and resentment. And I was like, oh my God, really? There was like no other explanation. And at that point in time, I was still very much in physical therapy, and everything had a scientific and biomechanical explanation for things. And so this was like quite shocking to my system. I was just like, really? Like, she's like, think about it. You were like literally seeing red, because my eyes were like bloodshot red. And this led me, these series of events, and I have like hundreds of these, personal and client experiences at this point, that highlight this fact that repressed emotions show up in the physical body if they're not felt. And so for me, it was, staying in a marriage where I said yes when I meant no for years and years. And, that came from my own childhood wounds and attachment wounds. And it just led me down this path of like really wanting to understand the emotional body and the nervous system, and how trauma plays this role in the nervous system, and how it all affects the physical body. Because my original, my doctorate is in physical therapy. So I was always trying to get like, what is like underneath and the root of like people's physical pain, and so, in a very simple level, it might show up in people as like low back pain, or neck or jaw pain or something like that. Mine was a pretty extreme example, but just wanted to highlight this. And this is like the reason I really got into this field, because I just had experiences over and over again, personally and then professionally with my client sessions, as I started to do somatic work, seeing that physical pain was this trapped energy, this trapped emotional energy that most of the time led back to some unresolved moment in their childhood or in their past, that could be resolved. And so anyways, so I share this in an effort to just share that the body is so wise. The body is so wise, and it's important to not numb ourselves, and it's important to not ignore the emotions that are there, whether it's grief or anger or any of that. There are ways to learn how to really hold yourself in really big, intense emotions that you might think would be overwhelming and would just take you down. There are ways to learn how to hold and empower yourself at the deepest level. And that's really what I'm interested in, is to teach people how to do that, because it's empowerment at the deepest level is how I see it. And so I'm teaching a free workshop. It's for it's on my method that I've created called the Somatic Reparenting Method. And the workshop, it's free on July 27th, called the Intro to the Somatic Reparenting Method. And it's for coaches, health and wellness practitioners, body workers, therapists of all kinds, really wanting to teach people how to have deep emotional healing through the body. And so it's really for those that want to expand their understanding and practical application of three things, really: of somatic therapy, of reparenting work, and of nervous system regulation. And so this workshop's happening on July 27th, and I would love for you to make it if this resonates with you. The intention is just to spread this embodied wisdom as far and as wide as possible, so that more and more people know how to really hold themselves through the triggers and the ups and downs of life. Because, I said this the other day, healing is not that triggers are going to stop happening. It's learning how to hold yourself through them and really building this capacity in your nervous system to handle stronger experiences. So please message me if you have any questions about this. And the link is in my Instagram bio, and I hope you can make it. Aloha.